All right, so let's begin from where we left. So we're going to take a very important discussion today, as I said, the logical reasoning for CUET. And this exam is now has become a deciding factor for a lot of students to seek admission in prestigious colleges of Delhi University and many other universities. So, of course, with the notification being out, I'm sure you all must be in a panic mode, like where to start the preparation from, what to study, how do you proceed, what should be your strategy. So all that, of course, we will discuss. And we are going to keep our focus on logical reasoning broadly for today's discussion. So coming back to the notification I was talking about, see, the exam is going to be held for you pretty soon. So of course, you must be, kind of really panicked right now that where you should start your preparation from. So it's very simple to begin with. You must start, practicing your language, and you must start practicing your logical reasoning, analytical reasoning, and the simple mathematical concepts, which are going to be covered in the first part of the paper. So when I say covering the logical reasoning or analytical reasoning concepts, it basically means that, you should start solving basic puzzles, you should start solving basic concepts and revising the very, very basic concepts of mathematics that was done for you up to class 8. So when we say up to class 8, there are certain important concepts that were covered, which you can talk about as statistics, you can talk about, profit loss, simple commercial mathematics, all that put together will make the mathematics part, and simple puzzles or reasoning or selection or arrangement based questions, coding, decoding, series, and those filling the missing items, all those kind of questions will come under the logical reasoning part. So the pattern is going to be, fairly simple for you, because it's an exam which is not a very high level exam. It's in terms of the level of difficulty, it's quite manageable. But of course, you need to have the right direction in which you are preparing. So when we say right direction, it has to be a very guided preparation, because the time is not much. And you can't just randomly start preparing with any kind of resource which doesn't prove to be fruitful to you in the end. So that risk, of course, you cannot take. You don't have that much of time to hit and try. Of course, yes, Reena, you have a doubt? You've raised your hand. Reena, you can definitely unmute and ask if there is a doubt.
Yeah, sorry. Your name is Preeti, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Preeti, what I can see is there's only one participant, that's me.
Because the rest of the people are logged in from YouTube. So you are the only one who's logged in from Zoom.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. Fine.
Right.
So the question is for as you said, we are allowed to ask the questions now, or you are going to give me time later?
No, it's perfectly fine. You can ask your queries, depending on the time. I'll take it up right now or maybe in the end. You can just go ahead with your queries first of all.
Okay, as you said, it is simple puzzles. Is it similar to first level first paper, as you said? Is it similar to Olympiads, or is it similar to the other entrance exams?
Of course, the pattern has to be similar to them. It's just that the level of difficulty can vary. That's what I said. If you compare an IIT kind of a paper with the CUET paper, you cannot expect that kind of a level of difficulty, be it any domain specific, be it logical reasoning, be it English, be it any other language or mathematics. Because in the syllabus itself, they have mentioned that, they are going to cover mathematics up to class 8 for the first part. I'm not talking about the domain specific. For domain specific, it is class 12 syllabus. So since the syllabus itself is quite concise in terms of the level that they have mentioned, we do not expect that the level of difficulty will be that high. But of course, time only will tell. But that's what we can rely upon, that the level of difficulty is going to be quite manageable. It's just that any competitive exam, be it CUET or any other competitive entrance examination that you talk about, there is one thing that is, a general thing that everyone should know is it's not just about an academic knowledge that you need to have for appearing in that exam and being successful. There has to be a good blend of academic knowledge and the strategy well placed. So that's what I was discussing when you raised a doubt. So Reena, coming back to that discussion point, what I was saying is strategy is very important when it comes to competitive exams. Why? Because ultimately it's a competition, right? Whosoever performs better in that exam is placed better in terms of, seeking admission. So when you have to basically compete with others, you have to have your strategy well in place. And when I say strategy well in place, basically it goes by, a guided way of preparation in which you are aware of what your strength area is and what your weak area is. Why is it so important is because whenever we are taking a competitive exam, we should know that it's not like a school exam where, 100% of the paper will be worth attempting. It's not normally like that, So generally what happens is you have to be very quick in answering. It has to be a very good blend of speed and accuracy. So that speed and accuracy, well maintained balance, if you're able to achieve, only then you can expect that you really do well in any entrance exam for that matter, right? So coming back to your strength area, identifying your weak area, that can only happen when you actually practice tests. It's not about, you are handed over a book and you're reading that book and you are well prepared for the exam. You might be well prepared for a school level exam in that way. But when it comes to a competitive exam, it has to be a well preparation done in terms of taking tests as well. So a test series has to be, available to you, which of course we will provide you. And when you practice through tests, then you actually get to know that, fine, these are the areas which are my strength areas. These are the areas which are my weak areas. Once you are able to identify your strength area, your strategy for that day when you're taking the paper will be to attempt the questions from your strength area for sure, and to keep your weak areas for, for the second attempt, maybe if you get time. So, and generally, when you're preparing, it's not that whatever you diagnosed your strength area and weak area in the beginning will remain always like that. It's a preparation journey. So what is our role in making you improve in that? Of course, when it comes to your strength area, that also needs an improvement. What kind of an improvement? If you were able to do an LOD 1 in the beginning, will make you attempt LOD 2, LOD 3, so that you improve in your difficulty level in your strength area, because you are able to understand that concept pretty well and you have a confidence over it. And when it comes to your weak area, we need to identify why is it a weak area. Just because you don't like that concept, it's not good enough for us to leave it. So we have to identify what makes it a weak area for you. Is it a conceptual knowledge which is not clear to you? Is it a lack of practice? Is it because you happen to make some silly mistakes every time when you attempt a question from that particular concept? So all that identified and diagnosed and rectified by us will actually, make a shift of your weak area to your strength area as well. So that's how you improve when you are preparing for any competitive exam, which has to be a very guided preparation. No book can tell you how to improve your strength area, how to improve your weak area, how to further enhance your strength area, and keep improving it with every test that you are taking, so that finally, when you take the actual paper, you are well placed in terms of your strategy, in terms of your theoretical preparation, in terms of academic preparation, everything well placed. All right. So, of course, coming back to that assistance that you need for this kind of a guided preparation will be well provided by us in terms of any kind of resources, any kind of tests that you need to practice. The sessions that you will be having will be interactive sessions wherein your doubts will be cleared. So you don't have to worry about that panic, which I mentioned in the beginning, right now is running through students, that, how do I prepare for an exam which is so crucial for me, because it's going to decide my career in such less time frame. So that panic, I hope I have reduced for you now. It's not to worry. It's not that difficult to prepare it for. It's just that you need a proper guidance for it. All right. So for that guidance, of course, you can rely on us. As I said, you don't have to worry about, running for resources here and there. You can just completely prepare the way it should be with us, because we have been in the field of competitive exams for so long that we have an expertise in fact understanding the pattern and trying to get out the questions, the pattern of the questions that will be, as far as the syllabus is mentioned, that definitely you will see that the questions will be very close to the ones that will be actually asked. So I hope, Reena, I have answered your query that, what kind of questions, and in fact, I've answered more than that, what kind of questions and how do you prepare for it. So those who have just logged in with us, Gaurav and Yatin, I was just discussing the way the strategy of your preparation should be, the way the preparation has to be started, and the way it has to be taken forward, right? So that's what we were discussing. Now, just to give you a fair idea, Reena, what exactly you asked as a query specifically, that what kind of questions can we expect from this topic of logical reasoning? So for that, I have listed down some questions for you today, which will tell you a clear picture of the category of questions. Of course, we'll start from the very basic ones, and then gradually, if the time permits, we'll move to the higher difficulty level ones also. But of course, it has to be a good blend of all levels considered, because sometimes when you completely ignore the easy questions and just focus on the difficult ones, your mind gets accustomed to solving difficult questions. So it's very important that you climb that ladder of difficulty level of questions, not quickly jumping up to the highest level of difficulty. All right. So that's what I have done for you in the questions that we're going to take up today. We'll gradually go up the level of difficulty. So shall we proceed ahead with the questions, everyone? Okay. So the way logical reasoning questions are to be attempted is also a strategy. This picture is basically trying to depict that strategy. A lot of people have this myth that when it comes to logical reasoning, it's all hit and trial. It's all luck, because they are all kind of puzzle looking questions. So there is no guarantee that you will get an answer, right? So how actually there is a systematic procedure in which when you actually take up to solve that question, it's 100% sure that you will get the answer. This diagram is trying to depict that procedure. Basically, whenever you read any logical reasoning question that you will see for yourself practically in the questions today, the first thing which is needed is note down the information, read it very, very carefully, because every information is going to take you closer to the solution. So read every part of the information given very carefully. Second, look for the connection between the informations. That's what those lines are trying to depict, right? So one information is connected with other information in what way? And then those interconnections of the informations take you ahead in terms of starting with the solution. Now, the biggest pain point for solving any logical reasoning question is, where do I start from? That also we have a tip. That tip is, whichever variable, and by variable I mean a person or a book, whatever you're trying to arrange in that question. So if there are people sitting in that arrangement, so one person, if you see, is getting repeated in a lot of informations, that person has to be used the first to start with the arrangement. Why? Because that person will lead to a lot of other connected people being placed. So I repeat, first, you have to read every part of the given information very, very carefully. Second, when you are reading that information, please look for the connections between one information and the other. Third is, look for that particular variable or a person or a book or an object, whatever is being arranged, which is getting repeated in maximum number of conditions. You have to always start from that particular variable. And then gradually from one person to other, from second to third, all interconnected conditions placed together will give you the arrangement that we are looking for. All right, so with that tip, let's proceed with the questions. So the first question I have picked up for you is from directions. It's a very favorite concept of logical reasoning and a very simple one to attempt, where we talk about the directions in two ways. One is the standard directions that we normally have, and the other one is a person taking a right turn, a person taking a left turn, those kind of directions to be followed with respect to the person who is moving. Please quickly give this question a try. I request everyone to participate in answering the questions, because that's the only way you will understand it better. All right, so do participate in answering. Do not worry about your answer going wrong. It's perfectly fine. You in fact learn better by making mistakes. So do not hesitate in giving the answers. Just quickly try the question, everyone. Any idea how to proceed with the question? Okay, so let me help you with the question. It says that there is a person moving in a particular direction. So first of all, as I said, you need to be aware of the standard directions that we have. So what kind of standard directions do we have? We talk about 4 standard directions, that is north, south, east, and west. How do we talk about these standard directions? The upward one is called as the north direction. The downward one is called as the south direction. The left is called as the west direction, and this one is called as the east direction. With these basic directions being clear to you, the second concept that you need to understand is, what do we mean by a person taking a right or a left with respect to where the person is moving? So if a person is moving towards north and he happens to take a right turn, obviously this will be his right turn and this will be his left turn. If a person happens to be moving towards south direction, his right and left will go opposite of what you studied under north. So this will be the person's left turn now, and this will be the person's right turn now. When the person is moving in the west direction, his right turn is this and the left turn is this. So the clear understanding of the right and the left as far as the directions are concerned is very important for solving any direction-based question. So coming to the east direction, if a person is moving in the east direction, his right turn will be this and the left turn will be this. So having a fair knowledge of these directions and the way the person is moving, we can certainly solve this question very simple. Now, let's read the language of the question and try to understand the way the question is trying to show the diagram to be constructed as and when you're reading the question. It's very important that we come up with a diagram along with reading the question. Raman walks 2 kilometers towards north. So towards north, he has moved 2 kilometers and turns to his right and walks 4 kilometers. So he's taking a right turn and is walking 4 kilometers. I'm not writing kilometers again and again. He turns right and walks 3 kilometers again. So in this direction, he's again taking a right turn and walking 3 kilometers. So this direction will be the right now, and the distance traveled is 3 kilometers. Again turns right. Now a person going down will have a right turn, as I said, opposite to the one that you had in the north direction. So the person going down will have his right, in fact, in this direction. And how much distance is being traveled in this direction? Again, 4 kilometers. He now turns back. So if he was going in this direction, he's turning back means now finally this is the direction in which the person is going. And that's exactly what the question is asking. In which direction is he finally going now? So this is the direction which is finally the answer. And what is this direction called as in our standard north, south, east, west directions? This one is called as east. So the answer to this question is east. I hope it's clear. Okay. So let's move to the next question. This one is also from the direction-based concept, and the way the question is to be solved is exactly the same way we solved the previous one. You all can give it a try now. So again, the diagram is very important when it comes to this question. The way you're reading the question, the diagram needs to be constructed. Reena, any answer from you? Are you able to understand the concept? Yatin? Okay, so let me solve this question for you. No problem. Rahul walks 30 meters towards south. So 30 meters towards south means the downward direction. And how much is the distance traveled? 30 meters. Again, I'm not writing meters just for your convenience. Then turns to his right and starts walking straight till he completes another 30 meters. Now, a person who is going down, when he happens to take a right turn, it is going to be in this direction the right turn is, as we discussed in the beginning. And how much distance is traveled in this right direction? Again, 30 meters. Then again, turning to his left. So a person going in this direction, taking a left and walking 20 meters. Now, a person going in this direction, the left will be downwards. And the distance traveled is 20 meters. He then turns to his left. Again, a person going down will have his left in this direction. It's always opposite to the one that we have in the north. And finally, in this direction also, he walks 30 meters. So we are right parallel to this and exactly downward of this point where you started from. How far is he from his initial position? Again, a very favorite question related with this direction concept is finding the distance between where we started from and where we stopped. So where did we start from? We started from here. And where did we stop? We have stopped here. What is the distance between these 2 points? As we can observe from the very roughly drawn diagram, that the points are right above each other, which exactly means that the distance is this 30 plus a 20, which is 50 meters. So that's the answer to question number 2. So question 1 related with directions was only focusing on the direction. Question number 2 that got related with directions, but eventually asked about the distance traveled. So the learning from both the questions is the direction-based questions are very, very simple to attempt. It's just that they demand 2 informations which should be very clear in your mind. One, which is the standard north, south, east, west direction that we have. Second, when a person is moving towards north, what is his right and left? It's exactly what we perceive. South, it becomes opposite. West and east are also opposite to each other, but you have to understand if a person is going in the west direction, his right will be upwards, his left will be downwards. So that clear imagination and a visualization of movement in the standard directions will ensure that you get the correct answer from this particular part of reasoning section. So 2 categories very much likely to be asked in this exam. The third one is also very important, and it is a lot to do with a concept that we all do in mathematics under geometry. That's the hint for solving this question. Please give it a try. So this question is also clearly based on coming up with the correct diagram for the question. And this one is in fact a simpler one because there are just two distances to be drawn in that diagram. Okay, so let me solve it for you. Naveen walked 20 meters towards east. Now, just quickly recall the standard directions that we have. The upward one is north, the downward one is south. The left one is west and the right one is east. Naveen walked 20 meters towards east. So this is the first direction in which he walked 20 meters. Then he took a left turn and walked 20 meters again. A person moving in the east direction has a left turn which goes upward. And that distance is again 20 meters. Question is asking how far is he from the starting point? Now, a very common mistake people do here is they think that the question is trying to say how much distance has he traveled? Of course not. That is not the language of the question. They are not telling you to add these 220 meters and tell the answer is 40 meters as the distance traveled. No. If that was to be done in the question, the language of the question would have been simply, what is the distance traveled by Naveen? That is not the situation right now. The question is simply saying, how far is he from the starting point? That means he started from here, he finished here. What is the distance between these 2 points? How is this question different from the previous one? There, the starting point and the ending point were right below each other. Here, it's like a slant thing that you have. Any slant kind of a line reminds you of a very important theorem that we all do in geometry, which we call as Pythagoras Theorem. What does Pythagoras Theorem say? In any right-angled triangle, if the perpendicular is known to you, base is known to you, you can certainly find out this slant line, which we call as hypotenuse, which is opposite to the 90 degree. And that's exactly what the question is asking for. The perpendicular is 20 meters here. The base is also 20 meters here. The question is asking for hypotenuse. Of course, that will also be in meters. So for that, what is the Pythagoras theorem? Hypotenuse is always equal to the square root of p square plus b square. But remember a shortcut. If your p and b are equal, then hypotenuse will always be root 2 times that number. So without even solving this, I can apply that shortcut. If perpendicular and base happens to be equal, hypotenuse will be simply root 2 times that number, of course, in meters only. Why? The reason is very simple. If you go with the proper calculation, applying Pythagoras theorem, you will say hypotenuse is square root of 20 square plus 20 square, which I can call as twice of 20 square, which is nothing but 20 root 2. So we can always apply this shortcut directly. 3 categories of questions expected concept of directions. 1, simply talking about the direction. 2, talking about the distance between the starting and the ending point, but when the points are right above each other, a simple straight line between them, a vertical or a horizontal straight line between them. 3rd, the starting point and the ending point have a slant line distance between them. So the Pythagoras theorem comes into picture, telling us that hypotenuse is the one to be found. So that's the simple concept, the first concept done for you. Of course, what you understand in this question is a very common mistake, which I warned you of. And that's exactly what I was talking about, a guided learning. A book will tell you that, fine, this is where the question is solved. But of course, you have to have, when it comes to any competitive exam, you have to have this learning. What are the common mistakes that normally people do? Because that is the most favorite question of any examiner who is creating a competitive exam-based paper. Why? Because a silly mistake, which is normally done by everyone, will actually reflect, are you in that category or not? And we ensure that you don't go into that category who is prone to making silly mistakes. So we guide you well before you take the paper that these are the common mistakes normally people do. So be aware of it, so that you already have that registered in your mind that these are the common mistakes I was told I have to be careful about not committing the same mistake. So that is what pulls you from that category to the category which is going to do well in the exam. That's very much important for you to remember as a learning. All right. Avoiding common mistakes, which mostly people are going to do. And if you happen to avoid it, definitely you will perform better. So let's move to the next concept, which I've taken up for you, is a simple series questions. That's the next concept that we need to cover. So this one is a very, very simple series based question. Yes, Reena, do you have a doubt?
T3, ma'am.
Yes, Gaurav?
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, not a problem. Gaurav, you were saying something.
Ma'am, 33 is the answer. I'm sitting outside of the home.
Okay, you're saying 33 is the answer. All right. So what logic?
Maybe.
Okay, just be sure about your answer. If I say 33 is correct, what is the logic, Gaurav?
Just adding 4 to the previous digit. We got the answer.
That's correct, Gaurav. Very good. So basically, whenever it comes to a series-based question, that's the first thing we should always try. Look for the gap between the points. So 13 and 17 have a gap of 4. That means 13 was added with a 4 to make it 17. 17, again, a 4 was added to make it 21. 21, again, a 4 was added to make it 25. Again, a 4 was added to make it 29. Simple logic. So that's the first level of question that you can expect for yourself in a series-based question. That is, they have a common gap. So what do I expect for the next number? Same logic. It has to be 29 plus 4. So as Gaurav answered, it is the correct one. It is going to be 33. Everyone else also clear? So very good, Gaurav. You have given the correct answer. It's a very simple question to begin with from this concept of series. So remember, that's the first category which will tell you that the moment you look at any series-based question, quickly look at the gap between the consecutive terms. That will definitely show a pattern. Maybe the pattern is that number is remaining fixed, the gap is remaining fixed, as for the question that we have here, which is 4 always. Maybe this gap also has a pattern. The first time the gap was +1, then it is +2, then it is +3. So I know the pattern is running in a particular way. So let's take up a question in which the gap also tries to make a pattern. I've already given you the hint. The gap is also making a pattern. It's a very simple question to answer with the hint which I have given you. Yes, any answer? Very good, Reena. Correct answer. Could you share the logic that you applied? Was there a pattern in the gap that I said was the hint?
Yes, 3 plus 5 plus 7 plus.
So what kind of a pattern is it?
I guess the difference also is having a pattern.
Yeah, so those are odd numbers, you can say. In a simple language, we can say that the gap is running as a pattern of odd numbers. Yes, Gaurav?
Yes, ma'am. I'm just outside of the home.
It's okay, Gaurav. Any answer that you got?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me.
I'm just wet. I'm solving it on my notebook.
Okay, no problem. Take your time. So Reena has already answered it. And what I said as a hint for solving this question is, first of all, you have to look for the difference. 12 to 15, you have come +3. 15 say 20, you have come as a +5. From 20 to 27, you have come with a +7. From 27 to 36, now do you observe that there is a pattern running in the question? What is that pattern? These are all odd numbers. Or we can also say that we are skipping one number in between. That's also the same logic. So 3, 5, 7, 9, what do you expect next? It has to be a +11. So whether you can call that the differences are all odd numbers, or you can say that differences are skipping one number in between, both are fine. So 36 plus 11 will create the answer, and it is 47, as Reena has already answered it. Are we clear, everyone? Gaurav, you also got the same answer now. Yatin, you got the same answer?
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay, very good.
I got
So
that.
that's the second category of series based question where the gap is also creating a particular pattern. Let's take one more category of series based question. Again, the same logic. You have to quickly look at the gap between the two consecutive terms and see what pattern is getting constructed. It's very, very simple if you go by that logic, which I said.
Maybe 41.5.
No, 41.5 is not correct. Reena, very good. You have given the correct answer.
Ma'am, 14.5, I'm saying.
14.5 is also not correct, Gaurav. Let's see
Okay,
where you
ma'am.
made a mistake. No problem. It's perfectly fine to make mistakes. That's what I said when you were not there in the session, because by making mistakes, you learn better. So Gaurav, good. At least you tried, but see where you have gone wrong. So basically, from here to here, what is the gap? It's a gap of 0.5. From here to here, it's a gap of 1. So from here to here, you see that you have added a 1.5. From here to here, you have added a plus 2. From here to here, you have added a plus 2.5. So what kind of a pattern is this? The pattern is that the gap is running at a difference of 0.5. So next time, which number do you want to add? It is going to be 3. So the last calculation will be this number will be added with a 3 to give you the final answer as 16.5. Gaurav, is it clear where you made a mistake?
Yeah, ma'am, it's
Okay.
clear. Ma'am.
Reena, very good. You have given the correct answer. So let's move ahead. So these are the 3 questions that I picked up from the series topic to give you a fair idea about what kind of questions do you get in series. All 3 were from the same pattern where the difference between the 2 consecutive terms creates the pattern. That pattern will be quite easy to identify, but of course we can have certain difficult questions also in series. Of course, that comes in the second level of difficulty. So let's move ahead to the next concept. This concept is called coding decoding. What do we mean by coding decoding? This is something that we deal with in real life also. Sometimes we don't want the actual word to be understood by others. So we try to put a code on it. So that code has to be based on a pattern that you decided. So whatever pattern was decided by you to create a given code is given through an example. So every such question that will be asked to you, which is based on coding decoding, one example will be provided to you. Through that example, you understand what is the pattern of the coding, what is the logic that has been applied, then the same coding pattern has to be applied on the question asked. So as you can see in this question, one example is given to you. Buy has been coded as this. The question is asking, hello will be coded as what? So if buy has been coded as this, you have to identify what logic have they done in coding this word to a number. Now, a hint for solving this question and a logic that will always work in such questions, where you see that a word, an English letter has been converted into a number, 100% sure it has something to do with its position. What position? English alphabets have certain positions associated with each alphabet the way you narrate them. Like, so if you narrate A, B, C, D and all, you know that A comes at the first place, B comes at the second place, C comes at the third place, D comes at the fourth place, and so on. So these letters have been converted into numbers based on their positions for sure. But how that position has been further converted, because if B was to be written as 2, I should have the first number as 2, which is not there. So it's not that always the position is directly mentioned. That will be too simple a logic. Sometimes that number is also transformed ahead. But the first challenge is, how do I quickly recall the position of any alphabet given to me? Do I need to narrate the entire ABCD in my mind? Of course not. There is a shortcut for that. That shortcut is called as the concept of ejoti. Ejoti is a word that we learn and remember. And why is it important? Because if you observe in English alphabets, E comes at the 5th position. J comes at the 10th position. O comes at 15. T comes at 20. And Y comes at 25. So the positions are at a gap of 5. So there are two things to remember. You learn the word ejoti and remember it. You remember that their positions are each at a gap of 5. So it's a pattern of 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Now, how does it help me? If I have to find out the position of any alphabet which is nearby them, I can very easily find out. For example, I want to find out what is the position of the alphabet K. Which alphabet in this ejoti is going to help me to find out the position of K? Can you tell me the position of the alphabet K?
J.
J will help me. And what will be the position?
Wait a minute. J.
K comes after which alphabet?
J.
So what should be the position for K?
11.
11. So how do you get that? J helped you to find it. Okay, so that's the benefit of learning ejoti. If I ask you any alphabet, you can take help from ejoti. Can you quickly tell me the position of the alphabet S? S comes nearby which alphabet?
Before T.
Before T. So what should be the position of S? T has a position 20.
19.
Very
19,
good.
I think.
Very good. Correct. So that is the purpose of learning this as a shortcut. Are you clear with the shortcut?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, if I apply this concept on the question here, what is the question saying? It says that by has been coded. Okay. Yes, Reena, I could guess that. It's perfectly fine.
Thank you.
Okay, not a problem. So yes, okay. So by can be written as 4, 6, 2, 5, 2, 5. So basically, what is being done in this question is B. B comes at which position in the English alphabet? B comes at position number 2. Okay. Y comes at which position in the English alphabets? It comes at 25th position. Right? E comes at which position? Position number 5. But what do I see in the coding? I do not see 2 there, but I see a 4. I do not see 25 there, but I see a 625. I do not see a 5 there, but I see a 25. What does that mean? All these numbers have been squared. 2 ka square, 4. 25 square, 625. 5 square, 25. So that's what the logic that the question is running on. Any coding that you give to a word is having 2 stages. First stage is you find out its position and square that position in the next step. So you will have to do the same thing for the word hello. So first of all, find out the position for each one of them and then square them. Can you quickly give that a try? So Reena, I'm going to help you with that part of your query. Okay, after this page, I'll go to that page where the details of the course is available and the link is also there, right? So right after this page, I'll go to that page which you need.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. So what's the position of the alphabet H in English alphabets? Which position H comes at? Take the help from ejoti.
Ma'am, 8.
Very good. E comes at which position?
Ma'am,
Five.
5. Fifth.
Very good.
Fifth.
Correct. L comes at which position? Take the help from J. J अगर 10 पे है, so L will be at which position?
12th.
Very good. दोबारा से L आ गया 12. O is at which position?
Ma'am, 15th.
अब इन सबके squares. Square of 8,
64.
square of 5, 25.
25.
Square of 12.
144.
Very good. Square of 12 again 144.
144.
Square of 15. Square of 15 225. So that is again one thing you will learn surely with us, Gaurav. Learning squares. Okay, squares of numbers याद होना बहुत compulsory है. When you are taking any competitive exam, calculations and squares and cubes, we will help you with having a clear understanding of numbers so that you are able to learn their squares, cubes, and some calculation shortcuts through basic concept being picked up from what we call as Vedic math. So certain shortcuts which you can clearly apply, which you commonly observe, but it really doesn't strike you when you are doing calculations. So of course, we'll guide you on those calculation shortcuts whenever we are dealing with math-based questions. Everyone done with this question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, one more question and then I'll go to the page where the link for joining the course and subscription and everything is mentioned for you, Rina. One last question, so just please have that much of patience. Now, this is one question where, again, a lot of people make a very common, silly mistake. It has nothing to do with any academic concept. It's a simple common sense where, suppose we talk about two languages. One language is our own language. The other one is the one in which we are doing a translation. So when we do a translation, yes, Gaurav?
I'm blue.
Okay. So let me check if your answer is correct or not. So as I said, this question, a lot of people make a very, very common mistake. And that is when the translation is happening, you don't have to connect the chain. Translation tells you, ye word aise translate ho raha hai, this word is getting translated like this. So first word, translation. Second word, translation. Third word, translation. We never make a chain out of it. And that's a very common mistake people do in this question because they are deliberately trying to think that a chain is to be applied. And that's a trick they are playing with your mind that you happen to make that mistake. So question said in a certain code language, air is called green. So please remember, translation for air is green. That's it. Finished. Next word, translation for green is blue. That's it. Next word, translation for blue is sky. Next word, translation for sky is yellow. All right. Translation for yellow is basically given to you as water, and translation for water is pink. They are not to be connected. They are deliberately doing that. Every word ends and the second word that they bring up is the same, so that you get confused as if a chain is to be formed. No, these are individual translations. Air and green make one pair. Green and blue make another pair. All right. Now look for what the question is asking. Don't go through all the translations. You will unnecessarily get confused. The shortcut is quickly look for the word that you need. Leave the rest of them. Why do I need to read each and every translation? Question is asking, what is the color of sky in that language? First of all, what is the color of sky in our language? The color of sky in our language is blue. What is the translation that they have given to blue? That is the answer that they want you to produce. What is the translation for blue? That's it. I only have to read this sentence. Rest everything is just given to confuse you. So I repeat, the color of sky in our language is blue. And what is the translation for blue in the other language? or coding or translation, whatever you call it as, it is sky. So the answer to this question is sky. All right. So one very important tip for this question. A lot of people think that it's a chain to be created. Not at all. It's never a chain. It's the individual words which are important. So obviously, we should never waste time in solving each and every word in that question and going through the translation for everyone. You have to simply go for the question that is specifically being asked. So Reena, this page is for you. Thanks for having so much of patience. And so you can definitely refer to this. Right. So I've given you a link for the free video career counseling. So of course, you can definitely make your child attend this. Right. And yeah, your son is in class 12, right? So you can definitely ask your son to go through this video career counseling. It's important in two ways. One, because this stage of their career, they are very confused about, how to proceed, which exam to appear for, how to prepare, all those
Are you
queries will
done
be
with that?
answered. Sorry, Gaurav.
Are you done with it?
Yes, beta, this is the last page which I'm sharing. If in case you are interested in the career counseling, you can definitely go through this link. And there is a phone number also there on the screen. You can definitely call up at this number if in case you have any further queries, right? So I hope, okay. I hope, Reena ma'am, this is what you wanted to say.
Yeah, I wanted to see this. Yeah, you as the CUET covers these logical reasoning and English as well as the NCERT based subject based chapters.
Yeah,
right?
correct. So basically, there will be some part of mathematics, which is class 8 up to class 8. And so that is the quantitative part. Then there will be a reasoning part. There will be a language part. So that makes up for the first part of the paper I was talking about. Then the domain specific one is from the class 12 syllabus of NCERT.
There is a query.
Yes, beta, please go ahead.
Ma'am, I want to know the difficulty level of class 12th domains.
Okay, so beta, आपने थोड़ा late join किया था, Gaurav. That's exactly what I discussed in the beginning. That the level of difficulty is not going to be of IIT level. It is going to be fairly as the NCERT level is, and NCERT itself is a very in-depth book. And definitely, if you are well versed with the concepts which are explained in NCERT, which are very well explained in the books, and definitely then there will be no problem. But of course, as I said, these aptitude based questions, which is reasoning, and the questions which are from quant, the questions which are from language, these are to be basically understood in a very strategic way. And that's what I explained in the beginning, कि उनको strategically prepare करना, strategically उनको attempt करना is very important. Okay, so learn karna is one part of the job, and the other is to attempt them in a systematic way when you're taking the paper. So all that we will guide you through the preparation, and definitely you will be able to do well. Right, Gaurav? So don't worry about the level of difficulty. It's not going to be very high. And of course, whichever is the high level difficulty for you, we will definitely make it simple for you. Any other query from anyone?
Yeah, this NCERT books, when you say it will be for ISC, it will be very different, is it, or it is more or less similar?
It's more or less similar only, not too much of difference.
Okay, so if I'm applying for my son is applying for economics, so he has to the subject base means only economics. He has to be
yeah. So there are domain specific. If you go through the brochure, there are it's not that you can just appear for one. You have option for appearing for more as well. So that depends upon the university you are applying for. So the exam doesn't give you a specific guideline. It is basically the university you are applying for will give you the specific guidelines about the paper and all. Right.
So then we have to know which university to apply. So
correct. So if you go through the brochure, it's a detailed information there, and it's everything is there in that brochure. So you don't have to basically bother about any information to be found otherwise. Everything is there in that detailed brochure. So
the brochure on your website, right?
Yeah, correct. The brochure is there on the website.
Okay.
Right.
Fine. Thank you so much, Ms. Preeti.
Most welcome. Of course, you can definitely call up at the number. Otherwise, if in case you want further clarity, right? So our team can definitely help you with finding out the brochure if in case you're not able to do that.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time.
Most welcome. Right. So any other query from anyone? All right, so I'll wind up the session here and keep all the important tips which I shared in the beginning, that it's very important to prepare strategically. It's very important to be aware of your own weak and strength areas. And it is definitely a very, very important paper to basically, get admission into premier colleges and universities. So definitely a very important one for you at this stage. And so all the very best for the timing, and let's see what more sessions that we have, and then we'll have more discussions. Goodbye, everyone. Take care.
I want to ask a thing.
Yes, beta.
What would be the minimum score that we need to get admission?
All that is there in the notification, Gaurav. And again, it's university specific. So I request that you please go through the brochure. Every detailed information you will find there.
Yep, Sam. Okay.
Right? Okay. Thank you, everyone.